Let's just sew whatever. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we are making the Oxbow tote from Noodlehead Patterns. It's so cute. It reminds me of a pillow because it's quilted in cotton. But it's the most beautiful pillow that's ever existed. Yeah, I think so. Here's the bottom. Really, I didn't make changes to the pattern as far as I'm aware, except for an interior zipper pocket. It comes together super quick, and it's just really fun. You look at it and you're like, it's a nice tote. It's cool. But the way the bottom comes together, like it's such a subtle angle. It just looks so beautiful and classy. It's a really fun, like, I can do this kind of make. So I hope you'll sew it with me. And don't forget to subscribe. I'm gonna get started on prepping the front panel of the bag with lots and lots of stitching lines. I have interfaced quilting cotton, or an interfaced cotton woven on my machine. I'm using Tex 80 from Wizardry, Stitchery and Crafts. And I'm gonna use a stitch length of like 4.5. I have a couple different bobbins full. I'm just gonna go for it. Ah, nope. That was great. Hold your threads. Ooh. All right. No, I'm just gonna go for it. Yeah. There we go. Okay, I think that feels pretty good. I love the puffy texture it gives. This thread is so much fun with it. We'll do one more. All right. Looks like chutes and ladders. And then you can do the same for the next one. Just kind of do whatever. I'll try to hit down here one more time. Okay. So there's that one. So you can see, so much fun. I will cut those out of my exterior front pattern pieces, but I think what I'm gonna do really quick on this side is top stitch the bottom panel, just so my Decaville doesn't separate, and kind of tie in the rainbow thread to the bottom panel. There it is. I could hear it. You could definitely add purse feet to the bottom of this bag if you wanted to make it a little fancier. I'm going to pull my threads to the back side. Never mind. But there's that ready to go, and then I'll prep my front pocket. And then trim this down. You could use pinking shears too, if you would prefer. I'm going to flip this and just carefully press that edge to top stitch. I love how simple the components of this bag are. It's like a really nice palette cleanser. Okay. So from there, and then I'll cut it down. There is quite a bit of overlap with the webbing handles on the front pocket. So if your lining is a little short, you're going to cover it up. It's not a big deal. Okay. And then I'm going to snip the center so that when I line up all my panels, I can just lay that down. Of course, it's got cat hair on it. I wanted to also include cutting out the main panel. So I've laid my main panel in the center of this quilted panel. You cannot really cut this on the fold because of the bulk of the foam. So I've marked my centers, laid this down, and I'm going to cut along the bottom, side, and top. You could definitely trace this out first and then cut it with scissors. Okay, don't cut the middle, that'd be bad. And I'll line this up on those center marks. The pattern weights that I'm using are just heavy little discs that came with the Ditto projector, which is not really worth the money in my opinion, especially if you bought it full price. And I did, and I'm mad. Totally unrelated, sorry. Ugh, I want like a quilted jacket out of this fabric. It'd be so pretty. All right, so now we've got webbing marks to make as well. So I mark them according to the pattern piece. And then I'm going to take my ruler to mark out the other ones. So from the center. Okay. Okay, so I've got my center marks and where my webbing gets placed. This bag is so small compared to the big one. I love it. But now we are ready to complete the rest of the bag. Now that I have my panels cut out, I'm going to kind of lay my pocket and see where it looks better. I'm going to say it looks best here. So I'm centering that and then I'm going to baste it down. And then I also want to add my name tag to this side. And I am going to use this fun one from Heartwood and Hide. There we go. Lighting is much better now, sorry. I'm just adding it 2.5 from the top. Oh, excuse you. And then I'm going to stitch that in place. And I'm pulling my threads to the back. So that I don't see any start and stop point. And then I'm going to tie them off. So pretty. And now I can work on my handles and we'll be nearly finished with our exterior shortly. So I'm going to peel off the piece of tape that's in the center. I'm going to fold those lines together and we're going to sew just on that open side of the folded edge, pressing it together. Until we get to the next line. And then I'm going to grab my little overlay piece. I'm going to see what that looks like. Find the center. And then it would be 2 inches out from the center. Okay. I want to line this up with the underside and then wrap it around on the other side. And it's just going to overlap by like 1/4 of an inch. Yeah. It's going to look really pretty. So it's up to you if you want to sew around all 4 sides or if you just want to do 1 line down the middle. I'm going to do all 4. Okay, let's see. I'm going to use my ruler to just kind of lay that diagonally over the pocket here. And then you may need another little bit of tape or glue up near the top to help you hold that down. Really? And then I'm just making sure the edges of my handles line up with the inner line. And then for the larger size I did like it's 1.5 inches. Yeah. So you measure the top edge and make a little 1.5 inch line. And that's where you sew 2. And then I matched the angle of the handle as well. And then it's up to you, depending on what you're carrying in the bag, if you want to do a little box stitch at the top, or if you want to add some rivets. So there's our front panel finished. And I'm going to line up my center, the bottom panel. And then you're going to be sewing across the bottom panel, stopping and starting 1/2 inch from the sides. So you may have made those marks already. So that's what it's going to end up looking like. And then, because I have this panel here already, I'm going to take my zipper. I'm going to line it up about 1 inch from the other side. And I'm just going to base that down on the one side. And then you do trail your zipper off into the bag. So starting maybe 2 inches, I'm just gonna turn the tail of my zipper down. So now we can set this aside while we work on the other front panel. This would be such a fun bag to have like statement webbing on. Like, I know there's a lot of really fun printed webbings, but sometimes you're like, not really the vibe for a printed fabric too. So that would be really cool. All right. So this is the back. Okay, there's my center. So line this up with the edge and then pull to tight and wrap. And you do want tape across that whole thing so it stays in place. And then we'll top stitch it down. so pretty. So this one is a little bit easier because we don't have to worry about that front pocket. So it just says to align the inner edge of webbing to those marks. This bag reminds me just a little bit of the Transponster, but the shape is just, it's so very different. Like, I guess the only similarity is that there's webbing. But like, it's such a large utilitarian style bag more than a hand bag. Oop. And if you're worried about your webbing kind of shifting at the top, you could use some clips. Hold it in place. I'm gonna do like 11.5 line. Let's measure the other one. Yeah, I'd say it's like 11.5 inches up. I always find it easier to measure up. Well, maybe it's just, yeah, okay, just 12. Well, that seems too high on this side. 12-ish. Looks good. Okay. I've got my bottom panel clipped onto the other exterior. And that same 1/2 inch next to, but not through, the interfacing. Okay. And then we'll add our zipper to the other side. The way it comes together is a little unusual for me, but it does work. So I'm like, oh, okay. And the bag is so large that I don't think that any way you make it is going to be like the easiest. So now this side I'm starting off with my trail, which means I want to trail off the zipper and then slowly bring it back up. And then I'm unclipping as I go. Okay. So now we need to get our lining ready to go, but we're almost there. So I've got my zipper pocket pieces, my bottom panel, and then I decided I'm not adding any kind of a slip pocket or anything like that. And I think the zipper pocket is going to be big enough that I don't need to worry about an opening in the lining. So I'll go ahead and add my bottom panel to one side. It needs those same markings, 1/2 inch. Technically, I could add this now to one side. So you put right sides together over the zipper, and you just kind of smoosh the other side of the zipper out of the way. And then if you want to start from the other side so you can see where you've basted already, you can do that. But you want to try to stick to a 3/8 inch seam allowance. And make sure your zipper trail remains the same. And what's hard for me is I'm like, well, I want to top stitch that now, but you top stitch it in the end. We'll just fold it out of the way and leave the other side of our zipper exposed. I totally almost forgot the D-rings. So I'm just top stitching this piece. I'm going to cut them in half and then add 3/4 inch D-ring hardware and baste them 1.5 inches down on the exterior. So we've got our overlay here, and I'm going to be placing this 2.5 inches down from the center. And then I also have this tag from the Heartwood and Hide that I'm going to center on the lining here as well. And so I'm going to sew around the outside edge of both of these, and then we're going to be cutting out the center of that zipper overlay. And I am watching the zipper overlay at the inside edge of my foot, or I should say the out. There's 2 pieces to my foot, and I am watching in between the 2 on the right side so that everything stays nicely lined up. Okay. So cut. And then very carefully, I'm going to go past the overlay. And I try to do my best to drag the scissors versus cut. Because if you're cutting, you risk cutting through your overlay fabric. Yeah. Beautiful. So now I have my zipper, and I cut these to 2 different sizes so that I wouldn't waste as much zipper. And so I'm gonna take the longer one first. I'm gonna lay my zipper face up with my zipper pull to the right. And I'm just gonna baste that at the top. I'm lining up one raw edge. I like my zipper to be longer. And I'm gonna baste that open and flat. If you're using a quilting cotton, you can iron that. But I don't find that it works well with the waterproof canvas. So I'm gonna take the other piece, and that'll go right sides together. And again, I'm lining up the raw edge of my zipper with one raw edge of the pocket. And I'm gonna open that up again. So I should see the wrong side of my pocket and my zipper face up. And you might think like, no, that's definitely wrong, but it's not. Because if you unzip your zipper and look inside, you see your lining. All right. So I'm gonna zip my zipper off to the side. Double-sided tape. Double-sided tape over top my stitching. And the longer side of our zipper pocket should be at the top. Longer piece. So I cut this one to 12 by 10 and this one to 12 by 9. Because when it falls down, it'll be longer, but it will sit evenly. Now with a pocket this big, I'm going to untape one side first. And you're lining up the width of your zipper overlay to the lining pieces. And then you want to see an even amount of the zipper tape through that overlay. This is such a long overlay that it's kind of tricky, but that's why we just peel one piece of tape at a time. And then try not to stretch the pieces too much if you can help it. But that looks good. Then I can lift this up and peel a double-sided tape. Zipper lining wide open. separated from your zipper. My zipper pull is off inside the bag, having a little break. And I'm starting in the corner. And then we'll pivot across the side and down across the bottom. And then depending on how big your zipper pull is, depends on when you need to start to bring that pull in through that little opening. So we'll just push that through. And this helps keep your zipper as straight as possible while you're making this overlay. And then on the back, it sits flush at the bottom. Okay. So we're going to turn the bag through this pocket. I'm going to fold this up, starting angled in to the center and then kind of shifting out to the side. And we'll go all the way to the top over our zipper teeth. And then flipping around this side, starting at the teeth, matching how I folded this up. And then that same angle in, creating a bit of a curve. Is it focused? And then we're going to snip the curve. And then we're going to open this up. And that is how we will turn our bag. We're almost done. And now we're ready to add this to the other side of the lining. I went ahead and unzipped it. Make sure the trapezoidal shape is in the right orientation, or you will be very sad. I don't think my zipper is in far enough on this side. There we go. You definitely want to be mindful of your interfacing choices. That foam can add so much bulk. Okay, make sure your zipper stays trailed off in this seam. Then again, 3/8 to 1/4, whatever you can manage. Keeping everything lined up. Even if you baste it and then kind of reassess and you're able to get that 1/4 inch, that works too. I'm right on that based line for this side. I'm gonna try it one more time. There we go. Dang, that never happens to me. I got caught on the foam. There we go. All right, I'm going to tuck my zipper inside and separate my lining and my exterior. And then before I forget, I'm going to throw that on the ground. I'm going to baste my D-ring in place. All right. So we're gonna clip right sides together on the exterior and the lining. Oh, I still need to attach the bottom to the other side of the lining too. I can do that. And then 3/8 to a 1/2 inch. Watch out for that D-ring hardware. And you can increase slightly in the lining. And I'm trimming the seam allowance just at the zipper. Attach my bottom really quick. So hopefully you can kind of get an idea of how much bag this is. It's so much. I love it. Okay, so now we have this side to sew still. Make sure you tuck that zipper back in. I'm trying to butterfly open the seam at the zipper. I've been making like such structured bags that it's really nice to make something a little floppier once in a while. Okay. Woo! I have trouble tightening my feet, and they vibrate, you know, when you sew as much as I do. So they loosen a little bit over time. It's normal. Okay, make sure your D-ring is out of your seam allowance. Yay! All right, so now we're going to snip our exterior just a little bit to our stitch line in the bottom of the bag. So here's where I stopped attaching the bottom panel to the base of the bag, and I'm just creating a quick little snip. just on the main panel, not the bottom panel, and just through, well, I already said it, doing it to lining and exterior. Okay. And then we'll square the bottom of the bag. And those little relief snips make it so the fabric sits nicely. Butterfly open that seam. So there's our relief snip. And I'm just going to put the bottom flat and sew across from stitch line to stitch line. Because of the quilting, it's a lot of bobbins for this bag. And then I'm just trimming a little bit in the corner. Exterior done, time for interior. Right, time to turn. I'm careful unzipping the bag that you don't go past and accidentally take your zipper off. That zipper pocket is plenty big. Bottom first, if you can. Woo. Push out the bottom corners. It's so pretty. Okay. So now is when we begin to top stitch the bag. So you'll unzip it quite a bit. Love that zipper tape, just glowing at the top. I've tried to use some glue on this, but the glue did not work. Oh my. So we'll try something else. I think I'm going to use just a pop tab on the top, actually. Yeah. Thought I would try a little triangle ring pull, but man, nothing beats a pop tab. Tell you what. It also makes me laugh how many people call zipper pulls that look like this a pop tab pull. And I'm like, did somebody, like, I carried them first. Not that serious, but okay. See if this works. Nope. I'm just gently massaging the zipper from the seam. Test. Make sure it all sits nicely and it looks really good. I love the handle accents so much. Okay. I'm going to be using zipper end hardware on the zipper at the top instead of the woven fabric, but you could use whatever method you'd prefer. Closing up that turn hole. And then tucking that pocket back inside. This bag could absolutely be made without any zippers. Could just be a big old tote. I'm just pressing the corners of the pocket all the way down into the bag, and then situating the lining. So if you used fabrics that you feel comfortable ironing, couldn't hurt. Oh my gosh. A light pink zipper would have been nice, but I just think that is so much fun at the top. Oh, I'm obsessed. It's like a pillow bag. because it's all quilty and soft. All right, so now we're going to top stitch. And so I'm pressing underneath to make sure my lining and my exterior are nicely separated from the zipper. Your lining is rolled down into the bag. Alright, and then we'll just smoosh all that back together. The lining fits so nicely. So it's up to you how long you want the finished zipper to be. Maybe I will use a little scrap of fabric. I just think like the bag is so quilted, homemade, that a fancy zipper end is just gonna be like, what? So for this piece, we're gonna be folding it in half and then in half. So you could definitely iron this. Don't interface this piece if you're using cotton, especially on a domestic, unless it tells you to, but it'll be so thick. Okay. I'm adding a little bit of double-sided tape to the back so that I can fold the zipper on itself. Okay. I've not done a tab like this in so long. I'm laughing because it's so cute. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. just not my vibe for a handbag, but we're doing like a hybrid. Okay, it's done. It's so cute. And I really like the D-rings made out of the waterproof canvas strip. Tuck that inside. They just seem so minimal compared to like bulky hardware, etc. I love it so much.